Well, here's the game end of Birth of a Nation for me. 25 turns, an epic game, not least because I had like a month gap in the middle of playing it. But as a tactical game, I found it very satisfying, and as with practically every game of this sort, now I've finished playing it, I feel like I know how to play it in terms of how best to utilise the forces that I have. I mean, I could have figured that out, essentially the manner in using your upper level commanders to create the breakthroughs that you need. I could have worked that out with enough kind of thoughtful analysis during or even before the game, but it sort of takes me a bit of experience to figure these things out. So what do we have? Well, the day ends with the Continentals with an unbroken line here. They retook the heights up here. They did not manage to retake the hillock here. Well, I could say these are heights, this is hillock there. I don't know. These are also some heights. So the hill here they did not manage to retake. On the last turn they moved back. They thought there's no way we can take it without. Well, there's just no way we could take it because essentially there's 4 cannons here, 2 3-pounders, 2 6-pounders, and a battalion. And any frontal attack on that, even with a upper level commander in support, will not save you because a cannons firing at that range get modifiers on the die roll of +2 if you're 6-pounder, and so that results in automatic routes. No amount of commanders can save against that. So they couldn't do it. They could have done it, sort of given time perhaps, and sort of whittling away down here, but they couldn't. On the other hand, over here in the middle, the British they again also retreated back out of the ravine into the wood line, and over here they had to retreat back over the bridge of boats. There's no way that they could have made that again with cannon fire and all these infantry units nearby. But here they have a result. There's a whole battalion settled on the other side of the creek here, so essentially kind of like on the American side, shall we say. In there, there's a redoubt here and their trenches here, so they're settled in the trench line here of the American defences, I should say the Continental defences. But really that's quite an isolated group. Come the morning, they would come under heavy fire. Probably, there's cannons here that would rain down upon them, so it's not a tenable position. But and it doesn't gain victory points, but it's just kind of like a moral victory, or so we say morale boost for the British. What would Burgoyne do the next day? Well, remember the Americans are being constantly reinforced, perhaps mainly with militia, I'm not sure. So there's no way he's going to be able to break through. He didn't manage to break through by an outflanking outflank here. That was although Arnold's plan to meet them around Feeman's farm didn't work. His initiative in bringing brigades out did save the flank of the Continental forces. So we have 11 location victory points and then 3.5 casualty victory points for the British. So here are that's the American casualties, that's the British casualties, so there's significantly more, say 3.5 more units of American casualties. That's 3.5 victory points, which would have been a marginal British victory into a solid British victory, but only kind of just by 14.5 points. 13 gives you a solid victory. So 5.5 points to 0 to 4 would have been a draw. So they're sort of doubly past a draw, if we could put it like that. So what we're talking about is a better than historical result for the British. Though you can see they do have problems. One of the Indian units just vanished. So he's counted in their casualty there. They sort of gave up the ghost, and the other ends the game routed. These are various routed units that are streaming to the rear end. That would have to. These are some that are sort of coming back, but the British need this night to regroup. So that was an enjoyable tactical game for me. The one sort of comment I would make off the bat about it, I don't think I'll do an in-depth review, but I think it's a good game. I think it's kind of like all here. If you like tactical games, this isn't too complicated. The rules are okay to get. I think there's one thing which I haven't checked to see if it's clarified in the rules, but normally 2 disruptions equals an automatic rout, but I think on the gunfire table, the cannons, when you're firing cannons at guns, they can be disrupted or eliminated. So you're not firing at the crew, it's just the sense of the guns being disrupted. But I would, on 2 disruptions, I would rout the crew. I think that was a mistake. So the British, they had so many crew routing back all the time here, they would actually have had, that would have meant they would have had more guns in support for their attack here. And it's strange because in the rules, the designer, Richard Berg, says that the artillery are practically useless in this game scenario situation because of all the wooded terrain. But there was up close cannon artillery duels here, and up close the artillery are devastating. The defence of this hill here by the artillery, that was invaluable, the artillery. So I don't know why he says the artillery in this game are pretty useless. The one thing that, as a tactical game, which I felt it kind of lacked, was something which I don't know if it came historically, I mean in the term of games, later, I can't remember exactly when this was designed, but is some kind of, what do they call it? When it's not your turn and your enemy is moving, some kind of opportunity fire upon them, because what we would have is units right next to say that the turn before had assaulted and decided to move back, and they would move back unmolested, or they wouldn't move back, they would sort of completely change, march across the line of their opponents completely unmolested until they were sort of put themselves into position, finished their move where they wanted to be. So opportunity fire mode was kind of missed, and it's kind of making me thinking that it's essential in a tactical kind of game. But you can kind of rationalize it away with the defensive fire and stuff like that. It creates some kind of odd situations, but not anything. The game is an abstraction, so it doesn't kind of abstraction doesn't contort it beyond something where one's suspension of disbelief can make the game nonsensical. One's inability to suspend one's disbelief at the abstraction makes the whole exercise of this game nonsensical. I felt like it gave a good sense of the problems of this battle, and so in that sense I think it's definitely a successful game. I've had to modify the components a little bit to clarify. These old style components, they have very small writing, and there's nothing on them to indicate which brigade something belongs to. So without my modifications putting colours and marks upon the counters, it would have been quite laborious exercise to keep track of who's commanding whom. So be aware of that if you were interested in bringing the game out. So I think I will leave it there. I've had a good time with Birth of a Nation, and I was surprised because I remembered right at the beginning. What back, and I think I've been sort of gaming there for about 15 years, apart from way back in my youth. 15 years sounds like a long time, but I don't do so much of it. Most of it is solo for me. But anyway, I remember quite sort of maybe within the first 5 years of getting back into gaming, I got this and played it out, or at least set it up and thought, oh, this is a really uninteresting situation. I can't remember if it was the rules that, there's the fact that tactical rules do require quite a lot of detail, at least the kind of tactical games that I enjoy, that evoke that tactical feel. I don't think it was the rules. I think it was the sense that the British didn't have a chance, and that's the sense the designer gives you. But as this game that I played just now told me, that the British player has a hell of a lot of fun, and there's a lot they can do. And I was even feeling maybe we have a chance. I gave some musings in an earlier video. Maybe the British can break through the continental lines, and thereby they're entering one of these canals, as opposed to the fact that I felt that if the nation was going to be birthed at this point, they would have to break through the waters of the British forces and break out of that confinement, lose their pregnancy and actually break through the British lines. We didn't have that on either side here, so in that sense, the British, they could have had a very defensive fight. In my game, they actually had a very offensive fight, and the Continentals were the ones on the defensive. And so it did look like for a while that the British had a chance for a sweeping victory. It wasn't the case, and therein lay good game for me. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed these videos, and any comments would be heartily welcome below. Over and out.